this one. Okay, I think we got audio, we got the camera. Yes, much better. All right, I think we can work with this. All right, good evening, people from the internet. We're just waiting on the people from Instagram. We got those two ends that we always work with, and just confirming to be live in both. Are we? I'm receiving some help. Anyways, well, people, good evening. This is here in A-létheia, the Speak Up Club, and the live sessions every Friday, same hour. We've been doing this for quite a while now, and we are always grateful to have the opportunity of being capable of doing this, because we all know that this is not something that we do for money, and in reality, there's no like real claim we can make in terms of what we that that we're doing this for something. We can say we do it for the kicks, but in reality, no. This is a public service that we here in Alethea offer to all of people that follow us. Most of the time have been students of us or ex-students of us, and other people that are interested in getting to learn through the experiences of exposing yourself, to the whole thing of becoming acquiring an ESL. In this case, English as a second language. Um, we do this to help people in the whole process of, building mental maps that are necessary for this process. Give me a second, people. I have a little bit of an issue here. Give me a second. Mike. All right, people. We got finally the people from Instagram. Gotta prepare the screen though. Let's see. Let's see. From Instagram. Okay, we're going live on Instagram as well. Yes. We got the volume well. All set. I hope that cameras don't interrupt each other. All right, good. So we got the two coming on together. All right. Now, after the introduction that I make, the purpose of this live session that later on becomes a podcast for YouTube is to address again all these audience of people that have trusted in us before and now, who knows in the future, and to try to help you guys the whole process of making mental maps that are necessary for you to perform, mainly perform, yeah, at your best in that ESL in any circumstance that you are facing, um, be it academically or work, migration purposes, etc., etc. In any of these particular situations, a person that is needed to be evaluated or at least needed to be assessed in how they perform in that second language, eh, We all know that it's a stressful situation, apart from requiring quite a lot of different things to be needed, especially for those people that are acquiring that second language not in in a native country. So not having the proper background to help you up, and the proper context for the language to be learned. So for the whole thing, the experience is a thing that needs to be considered. And here, the topics that we develop Friday after Friday are all aimed at showing you the mental maps that we use to develop each and give you hints of how you can actually do it on your own. We also have a Q&A option here, as it is today. The nature of this topic is totally open for the Q&A. So we are open, willing, and waiting on you guys to text us via the comment section of YouTube or Instagram, whatever question you want us to address regarding this topic. So, without further ado, the topic. What are we speaking about today? So, we're speaking about today, as the title says, receiving advice from bad people. What do I mean by bad people and what do I mean by advice? So, today, more than ever, when you actually check on general public statistics of give me a second. I got some noise coming from that door. Can you please close that door? Yes, thank you. Okay, so I need to be checking on the audio because sometimes that gets filtered. All right, so as I was saying before, when we check on public statistics about what is it that people willingly spend the most time investigating, downloading, and just simply checking online to read, um, apart from just simply information, like, day-to-day information, but it's mostly when it comes to reading material, prose text mostly, is on the area of self-help, self-improvement, etc., etc., etc. So we have in this case that the tendencies of today, concepts like wholesomeness, concepts like the pursuit of happiness are being projected highly, more than what they were, for example, when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was not necessary to become happy. That's something that you learn probably at church, but not regularly on TV as a promoted type of message regulated by any organization, ONGs, or even the national government. But today is becoming common. You check on the radio, you check on TV, you check on many different type of device or broadcasted media, and you regularly will listen to advice. There will be people on shows and other different type of interventions that you can check on and making themselves known by, being some sort of coaches, because today that's necessary. I'm not downplaying the purpose of this type of work, because actually they work. There are people that require the assistance of others that allow them to, get their stuff together, get their minds together, get their thoughts together to maybe get out of mental traps that sometimes people would tend to fall into and make us stuck in our realities, and make us mentally sick. When that thing happens, you require help, so obviously that is necessary. Today there is a bigger awareness on the need of this type of help, which obviously I will believe that in prior generations people did not really have access to, and they had to try to conceive some sort of peace of mind by, let's say, dedicating themselves to follow a religion, to follow certain traditions, or fears, legends, etc. It all depends on where you grew up. Some people luckier than others. Of course, we all know that. But nonetheless, we know that today that seemed to have passed to a second or even third place in life. All those traditions, religions, etc., that were supposed to be the area in which we thought of concepts such as happiness, realization, and then today, this is like the ideological, the let's say the positive ideological content that is normally pushed on many other different things that are related to, let's say, um, the benefits of the planet or the benefits of society, or again, what ONGs or other type of organizations such as this normally will do. And you will see even commercial brands that sometimes get some of those ideas and they put them in their slogans for selling their products, as I will definitely think of by the people from Nike with the "Just Do It" famous motto, and so many others, right? So many others that they have that idea of mindful and wholesome projection, ideological projection to justify, whatever is it that commercially, of course, whatever that is it that they are as a brand. Sometimes a little bit contradictory, but still, that's the tendency of our lives today. Okay. Now, me as a person that is more familiar to more academical type of reading when it comes to this content, I cannot help to by recognizing that some of the content that these people are writing about, these articles, these books that are related to, you know try to find peace, try to find yourself, find your center, etc., all the idea about trying to be happy. The majority of those contents come from the same sources, from interpretations of the same sources. And which are these sources? We all know classic philosophy. Classic philosophy has every single concept that has ever been thought of, um, regarding what is it that a human being needs to think of in order to become a realized person, a happy person. All of that exists in classic philosophy. So you can actually break down many of the content that some of the most recognized authors have today into bits and pieces of pieces that have been reread or reinterpreted and reinterpreted of what a previous philosopher has written about. And that is not something strange at all, because otherwise it wouldn't be philosophy. Philosophy has been there throughout the history of humanity, of our civilization, to basically think through our problems, our common problems. And obviously, philosophers will leave those traces in books, in philosophic fashion. And of course, if you have the patience to go through the way a philosopher will write, you will definitely find a lot more information, much more useful than the ones that you will get in any of your self help books, etc., etc. So that is a given. On the other hand, we had the situation that if anyone, any new reader of philosophy wants to check on who the classics were, um, you know, more than 3,000 years of Western philosophy, and you will see that the very common names will pop up. But then again, the second search out, the one that tries to see who these people were, just simply just finding out about who these people were, it will mainly make many of these people as not necessarily relatable, at least not necessarily relatable in a positive way, because many of them could actually be considered as, you know, good writers, but cancel characters, or, you know, prone to be canceled as characters, if considering today's view of how things are supposed to be, right? And this is not something that I am inventing because I'm not that brilliant. Actually, I came across this in videos that I normally check on YouTube every time that I'm doing my research. And this is from Wisecrack, and which the title of the video, let me quickly check on it so I don't butcher it. The title of the video was, hold on, sorry. The title of it, Why Murderers Can Be Good Philosophers. That is from the YouTube channel Wisecrack. So those of you that are interested in checking the sources of material that we use for this type of content, you're welcome. I got one person here today in YouTube. Don't know the name, but thank you for attending, and welcome. Enjoy. So, going back to what we were speaking about, if you do your research, if you check the video, for example, that video summarizes a lot of information that I'm trying to distain here in more precise items. But just to get a few examples, to try to explain what I'm trying to say is, you get someone that is popularly known in the world of philosophy as Nietzsche, and from Nietzsche, everyone knew, well, not everyone, but at least people that were a bit, just that bit of curious, that he was known to be eccentric, and that he died of something that was something related to neurosyphilis. Now, of course, just by thinking about syphilis, yeah, and he went um, crazy, literally. So he went crazy and he died, possibly institutionalized, or at least attended by, you know, strongly observed type of nursery in his last days when he was alive. The thing is, for him to finish in the way he did, and the way that how he had been pilot, an immense symbol of reference in the world of philosophy, and not just philosophy, but arts in general. Um, People will say, well, yeah, he had the problems that he had because he became crazy. But wasn't the one of the problems that he got related to syphilis? And how do you normally get syphilis? Well, we have to consider what was happening during those years in the part of the world that he grew up. If you do your research, you find out a lot. Okay, and in that area, you can actually guess more or less of the character of our friend philosopher. And it so happens that he had more than one um, confirmed rumor of how he dealt with certain other people, and how other people got hurt by his choices in life, etc. You will say, well, that was Nietzsche because, you know, poor guy, he ended up dying crazy. Yeah, but you go from Nietzsche all the way to Plato, and you will find a lot of information on all of the big names. People like Kierkegaard, people like Hegel, people like Kant, people like Marx, people like Foucault, you name it. All of them have let's say, skeletons, if you want to say, in their closets. And that is simply a situation that cannot be hidden because we're humans. And as humans, we will commit mistakes. Everyone will commit mistakes. The problem is that these people precisely were recognized by the way, or uh, they report their contribution to the world of ethics that were known right after them. So basically, it's their legacy, what we are considering today. If you consider the legacy of a person that spoke about things, how people should do or should consider things, etc., and then we see that these same people did not really do things the way they preached, you can be understood if you begin to doubt on the content and the principles that this such person, taught. Yes, you can doubt, and it's understandable. It is understandable that you're in a position of sort of moral authority, a person that is there giving apparently a speech of improvement, uh, should do that with an example, and when the example is not met with reality, when the person doesn't really show with their behavior that their values are or ideas or ideologies, the person at hand, the person that we're speaking about, has commented, said, or simply stated, that person will become that detriment or for their own legacy because of their behavior. So it's kind of like saying like what you destroy with your left, what you build with your right. I'm not sure if I said that saying properly, but I guess you get what I'm trying to say. So what do we do? I mean, I'm just referring extremely superficially on the issues of this matter. In each one of them, something that they could be criticized for. Right? That's what we have stated so far. What can we do? Should we doubt and simply just, disregard any of the teachings? For example, we have a discuss here in this channel the benefits of ethics, Kantian ethics, or Spinozan ethics, or even some of the ethics from the postmodernist thinkers, among them Foucault. And each of them, of the people that I mentioned, appear in the article that was explained by will be criticizable under the perspective of what we see today on how society is supposed to be today, specifically when we are referring to highly um, developed societies, not the ones that are still struggling for organization, because we all know that if you are struggling for organization, as it happens in many countries that are under awful military conditions, we know some countries in Africa, some countries in Asia, some countries here in the Americas, specifically Central America, etc., etc. We know that for those countries, the standards can be not necessarily the best ones, but the example that they get from everybody else makes you think that almost whole society have pretty much the same values in terms of what it is supposed to be the correct way of seeing life for a regular person, what a regular person is supposed to do in life, which is to get to be or to grow up in a stable household, receive the correct or enough education to later on get better education, to get so that person can be capable after finish that way that person will comply with the right of fetching for themselves or simply self-determination, right? As being capable of producing for themselves, from their family, and contributing with taxation processes, etc., to then is supposed to be given a series of rights, and that person is supposed to be liable for not respecting the same series of rights on others. So there is some sort of correlation between rights and duties of a person that grows up in society. Again, those are the frames that we consider is supposed to be society today. But what happens when growing up, when the whole process of growing up produces the most of the trauma? You know, the, let's say, not a stable household, now not a stable education process, not a stable profession acquisition process, not a stable life in general. And we all know that just by the numbers, just checking on the numbers, if we consider every big, important, recognizable society in the world, we can see that the behavior is similar, statistically speaking, about where the bigger numbers of people are uh, maintained and even increase with life. And it seems that people that have higher acquisition possibilities are, depending on the society, if it is, really really stable, it's this space is sort of is like big, but the one that tends to grow bigger everywhere is the part where people don't have the best means, economically speaking, where the acquisition power is, you okay, there is where you see that somehow the conditions are not given there. In each one of the aspects that I mentioned before, there are problems, there are challenges that people need to face. And in order for them to complete those challenges, they basically have to make a jump from being, low acquisition type of individuals to at least part of the middle class. So that's why this middle class is really wide, because there are some people that have better acquisition power than others, but that doesn't really make them stable. They just simply live paycheck to paycheck, but at least don't struggle so much as the ones that the paycheck doesn't really cover for their needs. Now, you could see that the variety of conditions will change a lot in this middle class from all the different levels of acquisition power. I mean, if you think about wages, you could use an example in Latin American wages. I think it's in general terms it's more or less the same. It's about $500, and the average, uh, from the best paying country to the lowest paying country. That's about it. The $500, and $500 as a monthly wage is heavy. Is really heavy. Depending on the economy you're living, it could be really nothing. Family, especially, out of $500, it's a high hill to scale. Continuing on the term, uh, when we are seeing that these people that have to make the double of that amount, automatically that propels them from the social economic situations that they are. Not because there is something that they should buy as a label that will tell them, no, now you are middle class. Not really. It's simply just because, depending on the economies, you have the presence of bubbles that people can actually access to, in which certain comfort without really having that much. And you can tell that they are bubbles because once salary stops, you go back to being poor. That's exactly how it works, and it's a terrible situation. It doesn't really happen in the people that actually have money. I mean, beyond the middle class. When you have the capability of not needing to work, a little bit more pressed on, specifically in the lower classes, comparing to the higher classes. And it's not a situation that we are preaching or favoring, we're just simply stating what it is. And why is that the ethics are more pressed in lower classes? Well, numbers are important to consider. When you got the high ends, the people that have high economic values, it's not that they don't commit crimes, it's just that the part in which crime is more enforced is obviously in those parts in which population makes crime more palpable, more obvious. So, of course, if they are the ones that people all know that, okay, these people are the ones that are committing crime, well, those are the people that will tend to crowd the prison, prisons or prison systems everywhere. Those are the people that will not have the funds to pay for proper defense. Those will be the people that will not have the funds to even sustain themselves in the time that they are living in prison time. Obviously, more ironic, power